NBC's Justice correspondent Pete Williams and NBC's White House correspondent Kristen Welker at the White House. Pete, first to you. You just heard Senator Feinstein saying that she wants answers from the FBI why she was not informed, why Mike Rogers, the House chairman, who is a former FBI agent, was not informed, why the President of the United States was not informed. What is the FBI saying about this?
Well, I think they freely admit that there are no hard and fast rules for when you notify anybody else in the government that a senior intelligence official is having an affair. The general rule and what their basic policy is, they don't tell anybody when they're in the middle of a criminal investigation who they're investigating, whether it's somebody in the White House or anybody. They just don't blab around town who they're investigating. Now, there's a policy question here, obviously, about whether members of the Intelligence Committee should have been informed. They say there's a potential national security implications. The FBI and the Justice Department say they determined early on there weren't national security implications, that this was, at its core, not a crime, an affair. And the other thing about this is that the FBI is sensitive to its own history about a time when J. Edgar Hoover shepherded the peccadillos of official Washington and parceled these things out in order to aggrandize the FBI, and they're sensitive to all of that. So they think they did the right thing here in terms of how the information flow went.
What about, Kristen, at the White House? Is there any concern that the President should have been notified sooner?
Well, at this point, they haven't waited on that. They're not publicly questioning the FBI's decision. They sort of underline the point that Pete is making, which is that there was no knowledge of any criminal activity. But certainly they are reviewing this process. They're concerned about the fact that this came out, the day after Election Day, and so they're certainly reviewing what happened and stunned that this has occurred at all. One person saying that this certainly wasn't what they were expecting to be dealing with in the days and weeks after Election Day.
And when Eric Cantor first learned about this, and he, from all reports, the majority leader, and this is just before the election, he, by October 31st, had learned about this from this FBI agent. Let's talk more about that. This is the agent who was initially contacted by Jill Kelly in Tampa about emails that were of concern to her. And she happened to know this FBI agent socially.
That's
they were
right.
friends. And so he helped her launch this investigation.
He was at the very center of it, and then at some point along, he realizes that it points to the possibility that the CIA director is having an affair with the sender of the emails, and then he is sidelined in the investigation. The Bureau is concerned about his conduct, so he's now out of the loop, and he's watching the pages of the calendar flip along, and he thinks, nobody's doing anything here. So he's the one who calls Congress, unaware, the FBI says, of that, in fact, the investigation was still on track.
And the majority leader operated absolutely appropriately from all reports, because what he did was contacted the FBI director's office through his chief of staff to say, we are, being questioned about this, and he was told it's all under control. And didn't proceed, as far as anyone knows, with any politicization of it.
Right, and I mean, in terms of people in the government, I think the only people that anyone has said definitely did the wrong things were David Petreaus, who had an affair and shouldn't have. The FBI believes it did the right thing. I think there is a policy question about whether somebody else should have been informed, but I don't think at this point anyone is claiming that the FBI failed to fully and energetically investigate this.
No, but there are questions which you heard Dianne Feinstein raising, that members of Congress are very perturbed that the oversight committees were not notified.
That's right.
And Kristen, is there a question at the White House as to whether Mike Morell, who is so highly regarded, is going to be, he's now been asked by the President to be the acting Director of Central Intelligence. Is he likely to head the CIA long-term, or is there talk about a replacement?
Well, look, I think it's a real possibility. This is someone who President Obama has a great amount of faith in. This is someone who was briefing him regularly during the planning process of the takedown of Osama bin Laden, someone who has over 30 years experience and service with the CIA. So the White House has sort of underscored the fact that they have an immense amount of confidence in Mike Morell, and he is certainly one of the people being considered as a permanent replacement. Andrea?
Kristen Welker has been reporting on this all weekend, and Pete Williams as well, all of your reporting from the law enforcement. What a great team. Thank you very much, both of you.